Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Welcome to the Sports IQ. Larry Smith here with you, producer Tony, editor Josh as well. Friday Eve, and again, we've got another jam-packed show for you. The NBA tipping off next Tuesday. Hard to believe it's already here. It's time. It's here. Let's bring it on. And we've got our friend Jasmyn Wimbish from CBS Sports joining us here in a couple of minutes, and we'll break down a league that's really very Western Conference heavy, and we'll get into that with her in just a couple of moments. Also, Vanderbilt, the Commodores coming off that loss a couple of weeks ago. They had a bye week last week, but still the Doors 5-1, enjoying one of the best seasons, still best starts in program history. Gets a little dicey coming up though. Big game this weekend at home against LSU. Top 20 matchup there in the SEC. Henry Oelhafen joining us from Vanderbilt. He's a beat writer there covering the Commodores, and we'll get his thoughts on this Vanderbilt football team. Also, what's conversation about possibly their coach leaving maybe as a candidate to replace James Franklin in Penn State. After all, Franklin came from Vanderbilt many years ago before going to State College. We'll get into that conversation as well. So big show today. Hopefully you're doing well wherever you are. Let's get into some headlines for you. Let's start with some playoff baseball. And it is now a series in the ALCS after Toronto finally came through last night, bringing out the big bats in Seattle in the 13-4 win. So that is now a Seattle 2-1 lead. They will still have the next two at home, including later today in Game 4 in that one. Again, they are up 2-1. Now, in the NLCS, it's a 2-0 lead for the Dodgers. They head home later today in L.A., to take on the Brewers in that one. Again, the world champs halfway toward getting back to the Fall Classic. Some basketball news for you from the NBA. Speaking of, Russell Westbrook signing with Sacramento, 18th season in the league for the 2017 MVP. He signs for the $3.6 million veteran minimum, 9-time All-Star. And so Westbrook, one of the most dynamic players in his career, going to see what he can do and run it back here with the Kings. Speaking of, Keegan Murray signing a new extension. Had to get this done before next week, and he finally does. 5 years, $140 million. He averaged 12 points a game last season. He's become the primary perimeter defender there for the Kings. Former all-rookie player as well. But he will miss the start of the season with the torn ligament in his thumb that he suffered in Friday night's exhibition. So he's out 4 to 6 weeks. He's missed only 13 games in his 3-year career, the former Iowa All-American. But again, he will be on the bench to start, but he's got a lot of money he can count while he's sitting there on the bench. Keegan Murray, good for him. Some other news, NBA. Malcolm Brogdon retiring. He's contemplating. He's going to be a role player for the Knicks. Was deciding what to do and decides to step down after 9 seasons. Former Rookie of the Year back in 2016. And only the second to win Rookie of the Year and the Sixth Man Award. Former Virginia player, Brogdon, second-round pick. By the way, $133 million in career earnings for the former Atlanta high school prep star. So good for Malcolm Brogdon. Another name in the news, Trinity Rodman. Of course, she's the daughter of former NBA star Dennis Rodman, but she's star of her own in soccer, leaving the pitch in the first half of last night's Washington Spirits CONCACAF W Champions Cup group stage win, 4-0 over Monterey. The Spirit, by the way, clinch a berth in the Champions Cup semifinals. Robin to be evaluated to see what her situation is. Hey, it's time to talk NBA. Crazy to think the season tips off early. It's next Tuesday. As you guys know, I'm a news anchor for NBC, which means I'll have some late nights every Tuesday, but I'm all here for it with the change in network. So joining us once again, our friend from CBS Sports is Jasmyn Wimbish. Have you had a good off season? I guess you're probably chomping at the bit for this thing to get going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready for preseason basketball to be over because it's rough out here watching these preseason games. So I'm ready for the regular season to start. I've been ready for the last couple of months, so it should be a really good season after a very long summer.
It is ugly, and it's funny that I don't know. I'm sure there's method to the madness, but I watch these games and I'm like, they're just playing, folks. Like, are you really? Is there a purpose to this?
Yeah, I honestly feel the preseason's a bit too long, but I get it. They need to warm up properly and everything. But yeah, I'm just like, I can't believe I'm watching the Charlotte Hornets twice in 1 week. Like
Exactly. Exactly. So let's start to where we left off last season with the Oklahoma City Thunder coming through. I think this is really intriguing because if they stay healthy, they have to be everyone's favorite because, all the particulars are back. They're all locked into contracts. They were outstanding last year and now you would think could only be better this year.
Yeah, I mean, this OKC team is really built to be a title contender for at least the next decade, just based on how the contracts are structured, but also just the draft picks that they have. They've got an endless amount of draft picks to either trade for future guys or to use and draft quality players like they've known to do in the past. So it's not going to be surprising that, a lot of people are going to pick them to repeat as champions. It'll be the first repeat champion we have if they're able to do it. I think since the Warriors did it in 2015, I believe. So it's been a while since we've had a repeat champ, and I think if there was a team to do it, it would be OKC. But I feel like a lot of people said that about Boston. They were, Boston was considered the favorites to win last year, and then obviously injuries struck, and I think that's the biggest thing that OKC has to contend with this year is injuries. They got really lucky last year. Jalen Williams did have off-season surgery, and I don't think is going to start the season healthy. He's not going to be playing, so that is something to watch out for. But as long as his team is healthy going into the playoffs, I think as far as the West goes, I think they'll be the favorites to come out of there. And if they can make it through the West, because all of the best teams, in my opinion, reside in the Western Conference, I think whoever they go up against in the East, I think it won't be really that much of a competition.
Yeah, yeah. The way it sizes up right now, it feels like Houston probably made the biggest move, obviously, with Kevin Durant. Here's a team that had the 2 seed last year. I love the makeup of this team. I think Kevin Durant, he's a winner everywhere he's gone, almost. But he certainly is experienced. He's a walking bucket. What kind of difference does he bring here now to this Rockets team?
I think he's someone that, the Rockets last year when they lost in the playoffs to the Warriors, the Rockets really didn't have somebody who's a definitive, like this is your go-to guy who can, like you said, get you a bucket. If the game's on the line, give the ball to Kevin Durant. And that's the most important thing that he's going to provide to this team. But now that Fred VanVleet is going to be out for the entire season, his facilitation is also going to be really important for this Rockets team. They've got a couple guys who can also facilitate and initiate offense. I think we're going to see a big jump in Alperen Şengün's playmaking ability. We saw it in Eurobasket overseas when he was playing for Turkey. I think Amin Thompson is somebody else who's going to be kind of given that responsibility to initiate offense as well. But KD is going to be kind of the glue of this offense for the Rockets. And I think, if you run that first round playoff matchup back, and if they were playing the Warriors again, I think the Rockets would have won if KD was on that team. So now you insert him into this offense. And I think that they're a team that could very well challenge OKC. I don't know that if they'd be able to overcome them, just because OKC just has so much depth. There isn't another team that has that much depth in the Western Conference. So I think that they are certainly one of the teams that I'm considering as, a team that can really give OKC some problems. But in the end, I think Thunder is still the best in the West.
Yeah, so many great storylines going into this upcoming 2025-26 season. And like you said, a lot of them are in the West. We go to the Lakers. Speaking of missing some time, they're going to start the season without LeBron James. First full season of the new slimmed down Luka Doncic there in LA. I think this may be a blessing in disguise that it gives Luka a chance for the first month to establish this as his team. And then you bring in, the legend in LeBron when he gets healthy.
Yeah, I think the biggest question for the Lakers is, will LeBron be able to be healthy throughout the season? I mean, sciatica, I've dealt with sciatica. It's funny. It's such like an old person injury, sciatica. So the fact that LeBron's even dealing
You're
with
not
it,
old.
yeah, I'm not old, but it happens. But like for him to be dealing with sciatica is kind of crazy. But if this is something that is continuously going to bother him because it's a nerve, injury, that is going to be a problem for the Lakers. But yeah, Luka being able to have a month, or maybe it could be more, depending on how cautious the Lakers are going to be with LeBron's return. I think it gives Luka a really good shot at taking a pole position for MVP. And then also, establishing himself and kind of familiarizing himself with how he wants this Lakers team to run. I don't think this Lakers team goes far if LeBron's not healthy. Even if he is healthy, I'm not sure that this team even makes it to the Western Conference Finals or makes it out of the first round. So I think, it'll be interesting to see Luka playing in, like you said, his new slimmed body. The funny thing is we've seen this version of Luka before when he was with the Mavericks. He's come into training camp before in shape, Not like this, obviously, all of the diets and everything that he's been doing. So it'll be interesting to see how it impacts his game. And also, if Austin Reeves can be that de facto number 2 guy while LeBron's out. But yeah, I mean, I think the Lakers are going to be one of the most intriguing teams of the season just because of LeBron's injury. How's Luka going to do without a co-star again? So it's going to be an interesting time in LA.
And for LeBron, his durability. I mean, when I saw that, I said, "Well, about time." I mean,
Yeah.
because he really. I mean, it's amazing he's gone this long without any significant injury, missing time. It's been. I really thought we went to LA. Well, yeah, this is going to happen. That's going to happen, and it didn't. I mean, it's a credit to him and his durability and his strength that he had. He was a freak of nature at 18, and, in terms of physically, and he still is now at the age of 40. Going up the coast, another team that's getting long in the tooth, and their window is closing quickly, if not shut already. The Warriors, do they have enough to make one more run?
I honestly do. I think when you look at this team, it's obviously, veteran led. They've got Jimmy Butler back. They added Al Horford, who, despite his age in the preseason, him and Steph Curry together, it looks insane. So I think the Warriors are going to be a team that a lot of people are going to, write off kind of at the start of the season. But I think once the playoffs come around, they're going to sneak up on some teams. If they get a good matchup, like again, if obviously the Rockets now have KD, but let's say they're matching up against a Timberwolves team or something like that. I think that they could surprise that team. I think that, as long as you have Steph Curry, as long as this team is healthy, I think that the Warriors do have a chance at another title. I think last year, in the playoffs, Steph got hurt. Jimmy Butler missed a couple games in the playoffs. And so that really derailed things. But I think despite them, being up there in age, this is a team that has so much championship experience, and Jimmy Butler is a guy who just never quits. So I think that the Warriors do have a shot, more of a shot than people are giving them credit for, I would say.
Yeah, and I think as a manager, Steve Kerr, we remember again played under Phil Jackson, played under Greg Popovich, two of our recent legends. 11 titles between them as coaches. I
Right.
mean, I think again, what he's done, what he brings as well as a manager, is second to none right now in the NBA. You mentioned the Timberwolves right now. Minnesota shouldn't be a forgotten team right now because they still have that nucleus there. But where do they fit in the Western Conference right now?
I think that I'm a little lower on the Timberwolves, I think, than many people might be. But it's not really just, their fault. It's more of just a product of the Western Conference. I think a lot of teams reloaded in the offseason, and Minnesota didn't really do anything. If anything, they lost people. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is now in Atlanta. So I think that this is a team that has the pieces to make a run. I think last season during the regular season was a great example of, they started really slow. They weren't, as dominant as everyone expected them to be after going to the Western Conference Finals. And they came out and went right back to the Western Conference Finals. So I think that, during the regular season, this is a team that doesn't need to come out and, be firing on all cylinders, because when the playoffs start, Anthony Edwards is one of the best players on the planet when the playoffs start. So I think as long as they are able to be consistent during the regular season, stay healthy, I think once they get to the playoffs, all bets are off, because Anthony Edwards kind of turns on another level. And, this is a team with a lot of length. Julius Randle, he played pretty well, despite the fact that, there were a lot of questions about how he would fit on this team. So I think it's kind of they're another question mark to me, just because I don't know. There's just too many teams in the West to try and predict where they're going to land. It's just, I was trying to do like a rough draft of, okay, this is where I think the rankings are going to stand. And it's like, okay, but you can slide a couple teams up 3 to 4 spots, depending on so many factors. So,
And even last year, it was like 2 through 7 was like separated by 3 games or something.
right.
In the final standings, to your point, there's so much even parity there. Another team is Denver. I think that again, they've got Jokic, they've got Jamal Murray. Can they come back and make another run?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that Denver went out and had probably one of my favorite off seasons. They traded Michael Porter Jr., got Cam Johnson. They went out and got Tim Hardaway Jr. This is a team that has so much shooting around them. We might see Jokic put up even more historic numbers than he has in the past, just because he's got guys who are like automatic knockdown shooters around him now. And, Aaron Gordon has looked great in the preseason. Jamal Murray is always going to be consistent as long as he's healthy. So this is a team that is better than it was last season. And I think if I was ranking it today, I would have OKC number 1, Denver number 2. So, and I think that to me is probably going to be the Western Conference Finals. I just think that if you can surround Nikola Jokic with enough shooters and you give that team a good defense, I think that is a very dangerous team. And you have the greatest player on the planet on this team in Jokic. That's a team that is very unbeatable. I don't know that they would match up against OKC very well, but I think that, considering the rest of the West, I think that they would come out on top compared to the other teams.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's fair. One more team in the West before I go over to the East right now is down in Dallas. Cooper Flagg comes in as the number one overall pick. I have said before, people look at me cross-eyed, and I understand that he's more NBA ready at this stage than LeBron James was
Ooh.
because he played a year in college and he got a chance to experience that postseason run and the emotions of
Mm.
that and what it takes to make a run of it. LeBron had to learn that with a bad Cleveland team. It took him a while to learn how to do that. That's why I'm not saying he's better than LeBron. I didn't say that. I said he's more NBA ready. To that point, I'm intrigued to have him come in and to see what he can do with a healthy Kyrie Irving and with a healthy Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I think, going back to, during the run up to the Paris Olympics, Cooper Flagg was training with LeBron and with Team USA, like
Yeah,
as an 18, 17-year-old.
yeah,
That says a lot. And you
yeah.
watch him in the preseason, you watch him at Summer League. This is a guy who plays like a veteran, but is a rookie. He's only 18 years old. He doesn't turn 19 until late December. In the last couple of games for Dallas, or the last game, I guess, he was playing, point guard for this team because Kyrie Irving's out. They're trying to run a couple different looks, and I think that might be something that they could find success with. It's a lot of responsibility to put on him, but I
Mhm.
think, when you consider Dallas's makeup of this team, their starting lineup, it will probably be something like D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson in the backcourt. That is not a very good defensive backcourt. They're going to get ran through. So
Mhm.
if you switch that up and have Cooper Flagg out there, that changes things. He's already getting like crazy stops on some veteran guys on defense that you would not see rookies do. Rookies typically are horrible defensively, and that's
Right.
his strongest suit right now. His
Yeah.
offensive game, he's not putting up a bunch of points, but he's operating like a point guard. He's setting guys up for success. If he's able to establish some serious chemistry with Anthony Davis and they can have a little two-man game going on, I think that's going to be a really dangerous component of Dallas's offense. It's but I think health is the biggest factor here. Like you said, Kyrie's going to be out until who knows? It could be March, it could be January. Who knows? Anthony Davis is you never want to bet money on him being healthy for any stretch of games ever.
Right.
So if he's out, this team is, probably back in the lottery or, fighting for a play-in position. But if they're
Yeah.
healthy, I think Dallas is a team that not a lot of teams are going to want to play against just because defensively they have so many guys who can
Yeah.
defend. So as they just got to figure out what, lineup works best.
Yeah.
And Jason Kidd just got a new extension. I think, that's fair enough. He, led them to the finals, Western Conference appearance. So I think he's pretty good at making adjustments, and we'll see what he is able to come up with over the course of the season. But Cooper Flagg, it's his rookie season. I think he's not going to put up a ton of points, but he's going to play impactful basketball from day one. And we don't see that very often from rookies.
Yeah, and that's one thing that impressed me about his play at Duke, especially the latter part of the season, late February on. He wasn't a guy that I really saw looking for his shot. He was
Right.
very content, and like you said, he's a year younger. He reclassed up a year. I
Yeah.
mean, he should be a freshman right now. He has incredible poise for an 18-year-old, as LeBron did coming out too. But again, he's got that experience of playing in college, being in that situation for a year. I think there are big things. Maybe not, like you said, he's not going to win a scoring title this year, but I think his future, as much as any top pick we've seen recently, is so bright. It's going to be really fun to watch. Want to get very quickly to the Eastern Conference. Obviously, two big injuries with the two probably best teams at the end of the year, Boston, Indiana, with their stars being out probably for the most of the year. How did they adjust, and how does that change the makeup of the East?
Yeah, for the Celtics first, I gotta say, there's been a lot of reports about, oh, Jason Tatum might come back this season, da 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 da. Like, I really hope he sits out the entire year. Even if he's able to come back completely healthy by March or April, I just don't want him to risk re-injury or anything worse. I really hope that the Celtics and him come to an agreement and decide, hey, you're just gonna take the year off. Even without Jason Tatum, though, I think Boston is a team that could sneak into one of those last playoff spots just because you still have a quality team. And for the Pacers, similar situation. They've already rolled out Tyrese Haliburton for the season, which is very smart.
Mhm.
But this is still a team that is a playoff contending team, especially in an East where there's more bad teams than there are good teams. So both of those teams could fight for, one of those lower playoff spots. But the way it shakes up the rest of the East is now you've got like two teams that are really serious teams that could win a championship. To me, it's Cleveland and it's New York. Everyone else is just kind of fighting for the middle at this point.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
no disrespect to the rest of, you have teams like Orlando, Atlanta. Those teams went out and made big moves in the offseason. But by no means do I think those teams are going to win the Eastern Conference unless something catastrophic happens to the Knicks or the Cavaliers, So
Exactly.
I think it's a two-man race between those two teams, but it'll be interesting to watch the rest of the East just because Orlando's coming up, Detroit's coming up, Atlanta, like all three of those teams I think are going to be fun to watch. But for me, it's the Knicks and Cleveland. And if the Knicks make a massive trade, for somebody like Giannis, which things are not looking great in Milwaukee right now for him staying there. They can sign all his brothers they want. That doesn't mean it's going to win them a championship.
Exactly. So I thought that too. That's nice for family photos at the holidays.
Right.
Well, does it get you anywhere?
Yeah, absolutely not.
So maybe a group discount at a hotel or something. You get one suite for the three of them. So, Jasmyn, listen, we've kept you long enough. We've covered a lot of ground. As always, we appreciate your insights. Glad to have you back. Glad to have the NBA back. And, we'll be calling on you quite a bit here this season to get your insights.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, Jasmyn, thanks so much. Good to talk to my friend. And Jasmyn Wimbish, once again, with CBS Sports Talking NBA. That tips off Tuesday night on NBC. It's a whole change. No more Turner Sports, TNT, TBS, all that. It is now NBC, ESPN, etc. And but we're here for it. Hoops is here. And the Sports IQ continues after this.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Great to talk with Jasmyn there. And again, LeBron James announcing he's looking at a mid-November return for the Lakers. So again, we'll see what happens out there in downtown LA. NFL Week 7 getting underway tonight with the Steelers and Bengals at Cincinnati trying to find their way through the jungle, if you will. Get that? Yeah, that's what I did. Without Joe Flacco at quarterback again for the Bengals. Not bad last week. They just came up short. But again, considering he had about 3 days to learn the plays, they did okay. Hopefully try to get a win tonight. Speaking of the NFL, that suspension for the Lions defensive back Brian Branch has been upheld. He will miss the game Monday night against Tampa Bay. Physical defender in that. The whole issue was he punched the Chiefs receiver Juju Smith-Schuster in the face after the game. Now, his teammate, linebacker Zaire Franklin, going on a podcast and saying it was deserved he needed, Smith-Schuster, quote, needed his ass whooped. That's what he said. I'm just quoting him, so we don't do that very often. But anyway, funny, he actually went on to say that defending his teammate, he said that Brian Branch was doing God's work when he did that. So take that for what you will. But the bottom line is Lions without a key defender in a matchup of NFC East, NFC leaders, I should say. The Bucs right now 5-1. Detroit coming in 4-2 after that loss. They can't afford another loss. They don't want to fall 2 games behind Tampa as they try to claim their spot among the NFC's hierarchy. Okay, there's a story there. So doing God's work. How about that? Okay. Meanwhile, in baseball, Albert Pujols, the retired slugger, in contention for the Baltimore Orioles manager's job. Saw this on CBS Sports. He won a title as manager in the Dominican Winter League. He'll manage the Dominican Republic team in the World Baseball Classic next spring. Pujols, 45 years old, retired after the 2022 season. By the way, he's also possibly being looked at to skipper the Angels, the team with which he played the back half of his career. 11-time All-Star, 703 home runs, 3-time MVP, twice a World Series a champion as well. And by the way, when you think about it, in baseball overall here in this offseason, almost the offseason, there are 8 teams seeking managers. Angels and Orioles, just 2 of them. Again, Albert Pujols may be back in the game in a different role. We will see what happens there. Women's college basketball, the AP rankings coming out this week. It's UConn, the defending champion, coming in at number 1 in the preseason. The first time since 2017 that the Huskies are the preseason number 1. But again, the season on the way. Paige Beckers, everybody's All-American, leaving after 5 seasons. And of course, she ended up being Rookie of the Year with the Dallas Wings in the WNBA this past season. Also, some news coming out. CBS Sports announcing Bruce Pearl, the erstwhile Auburn basketball coach, will join their broadcast team. Another big name, Robbie Hummel, the former Purdue All-American, who has just been outstanding in his work for ESPN and Big Ten Network. He will join CBS as well. But Pearl made a splash just a few weeks ago when he abruptly retired just before the start of the preseason practice here. His son, Steven, taking over as head coach there at Auburn. But again, Bruce Pearl, a colorful past. He's been a winner everywhere. Division II, Southern Indiana, at Milwaukee, at Tennessee. Had the show cause for some NCAA recruiting violations. Now down at Auburn, made Auburn basketball matter. Make no mistake about it. Put that program on the map nationally. 2 Final Fours, the only 2 in school history. But he stepped down, and now he will be in your living rooms doing some game analysis, also some studio analysis come March Madness as well. Bruce Pearl, get ready for the loquacious Bruce Pearl on your TV during CBS's coverage. And again, big fans as well of Robbie Hummel. It's a great move for CBS. He's one of the real talents in the game, and so we're thrilled for that. Okay, we'll get back to college football in a minute. Henry Oelhafen joining us to talk Vanderbilt football next on the Sports IQ.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. That's 800-613-8053.
Fans of big sports radio and sports spectacular podcasts have a new home on the Chief Sports Network. Find your favorite programs and content all in one place by downloading the Chief Sports app in your mobile device. Created in South Carolina, the Chief Sports Network is the home of an expanding network of live and podcast format programming. It is also the home of one of the leading national college football podcasts, JC and Morgan, hosted by ESPN's Mike Morgan and 24/7 Sports' JC Sherbert. Download the Chief Sports app for free and find all of your favorite programming under one easy umbrella. Thanks to all of our markets for your loyal support of Big Sports Radio and our Sports Spectacular podcast, and we look forward to connecting with you anywhere in the world on the Chief Sports app.
Are you tired of your website making your business look bad? Is your current web developer dropping the ball? Let's face it, if your website isn't making you money, it's broken. Let Neon Rain create a website that turns your visitors into customers. Neon Rain has worked with hundreds of businesses across North America, building custom websites and applications with modern designs that are easy to update and work well on mobile devices. They can do it for you too. What sets Neon Rain apart? They actually deliver on their promises. Call today for a free consultation. 303-957-3092. That's Neon Rain at 303-957-3092. Or visit them at neonrain.com.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
College football now is getting ready for another big weekend. Top 25 matchup in the SEC. Vanderbilt, love this. They're going to bounce right back, baby, after the loss at Alabama a couple of weeks ago. Henry Oelhafen joining us right now, sports editor for the Vanderbilt Hustler. Henry, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Larry. It's great to be on the show and get to talk some Vanderbilt football with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk first about this season. Look, we knew, this, renaissance, if you will, kind of began a year ago with the win at home there against Alabama. By the way, did they ever recover the goalposts from the Cumberland?
I'm not sure. I think they actually auctioned it off. So the students threw it in the river, the Cumberland River, and then they sold off pieces to various fans and alumni and things like that. So they've got new goalposts in the stadium now. But that was an exciting time to be a Vanderbilt student, to be a Vanderbilt fan, and it was incredible to see them knock off the number one team in the country at the time. Just with that win, obviously it was a 40-35 win, extremely close one, but Vanderbilt has never beaten a top-ranked opponent before that year. So it was the first time in program history.
Yeah, it was just really exciting. A couple of weeks ago, or on back on the 4th, you go down to Alabama, close game. They do get the win. Final was a 30-14, close early on till Alabama pulled away. But to me, it doesn't take anything away from this team right now. They were 5-0, now 5-1. Did you? I know you guys had high expectations coming into the season. Did you think a 5-1 start was possible?
I think people definitely had higher expectations this year than coming into this year. After the stellar season last year, made Vanderbilt a bowl game, went 7-6, beat Georgia Tech in the Birmingham Bowl last year. People were excited about this team, and you look at the transfer portal class that Clark Lee brought in. I think people had a lot of faith that those guys might take a step up from last year. The 5-0 start before Alabama was a bit surprising. They played Virginia Tech and South Carolina both on the road. You kind of chalk those up to very close games going into the season. You thought, if Vanderbilt got one out of those two games, that might be a success. Obviously, to get both of those games was very impressive. And now they're sitting at 5-1 with just the one loss to Alabama. So I don't think it was necessarily expected, but I don't think the hot start to Vanderbilt season should surprise really anyone. I think Diego Pavia is now in his second year in offensive coordinator Tim Beck's system. Kind of has showed signs that he's shown improvement this year, throwing the deep ball. And he's got his full mobility back now. At the end of last season, he suffered from a partially torn hamstring against games against South Carolina and Tennessee last year. Now he's back to full health, and a lot of pieces around him have improved. Cedric Alexander in the running back room has taken massive strides this year. He's averaging 6.4 yards per carry. They brought in a fantastic offensive line transfer class to really bulk up that line and create some larger gaps at the line of scrimmage. So am I surprised by the performance? Not necessarily, but the 5-0 start going into Alabama was, I think, impressive, and it's something definitely to note.
Yeah, and I think that South Carolina game was the one that really got the nation's attention. South Carolina coming in, ranked preseason in the top 15, kind of many felt would be that other team to join the SEC playoff chase in terms of the college football playoff. Things have not worked out the way they would have liked in Columbia, but that's their problem. We're discussing Nashville and Vanderbilt. Henry Oelhafen joining us right now, the sports editor for the Vanderbilt Hustler. Tell me about Diego Pavia. What kind of difference does he make on this Commodores team?
He's a complete difference maker. I think he's the entire life of Vanderbilt football right now. I think he's obviously a fan favorite, but even inside the locker room, he's a clear leader. I think you can ask anyone on that team. I'm in weekly press conferences with a lot of the players, a lot of the coaches. They all rave about Diego Pavia's leadership style, his ability to rally the team around him. I think his play has sort of backed it up this year. I think he's passing at a really efficient rate. Granted, he's never going to pop off the stat page like a top quarterback. He's not going to throw for 300 yards. That's just not how their offense works and operates. But I think he's just shown to be a really good game manager. He can really, he's great at running the ball. He's pretty fearless. We've seen him a couple times this year be a lead blocker, taking big hits, often probably at the expense of his own health at sometimes. But he definitely embodies that spirit of just fighting till the end, fighting till the final whistle. So I think he's been a complete game changer for Vanderbilt football. And I think Vanderbilt Nation and Vanderbilt fandom is definitely lucky to have a guy like Diego Pavia leading the charge.
Yeah, no question. And of course, he made headlines over the summer off season in terms of, the challenging for the extra year of eligibility. Yes. I think I saw a report he may try to do that again. Is he still trying to stay on campus for 2026? What's the latest?
So it's a good question. So that his lawyers, he had another hearing, I think about a month ago, regarding an extra this past year of eligibility. His lawyer did sort of imply in that hearing that he could potentially apply for another year of eligibility. Diego Pavia actually later silenced those claims, saying this is his last year of college football. So as of right now, we don't expect him to be back for a seventh season, but things may change and we'll see.
Yeah. You never know. Look, you know what? The court system, it's worked for him so far. And others as well, so who knows? But glad we cleared that part up. So number 17, Vanderbilt at home against number 10, LSU. And we've talked about the SEC as just a gauntlet. We expect that when you begin play. What about this LSU team that concerns you on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, I think Vanderbilt's weakest part of their defense is their secondary. You saw them really struggle against Ty Simpson at Alabama, I guess now 2 weeks ago. Ty Simpson really was able to throw all over Vanderbilt's secondary in that second half in particular. He had over 300 passing yards. And so you look at a quarterback like Garrett Nussmeier, who's obviously was really highly, potentially going to be the first overall draft pick preseason. Now maybe not. He struggled a bit so far this season to really make big plays, has thrown some picks and turnovers and things like that. But you look at that matchup, I'm not necessarily inspired with confidence that Vanderbilt can stop a Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's a relatively similar quarterback to Ty Simpson, just a great passer of the ball. So that definitely concerns me. I think Vanderbilt's run defense is really the strongest part of their defense. They rank top 20 in the nation in rushing yards per game allowed. So you look at that, that's just going to put more stress on the secondary. And so looking at this matchup, you think if Vanderbilt can stop the pass, they could have a pretty good shot of winning this game. So I look at that as the biggest thing on the defensive end of, could be concerning for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, home game, 11 a.m. Central Time, local time kickoff there, and it's on ABC. How have the fans responded to this hot Vanderbilt start?
I think it's been a complete transformation. I mean, you looked at, earlier games this year, Vanderbilt played Georgia State and Charleston Southern, two obviously lesser teams than Vanderbilt probably in terms of football. And those stadiums were sold out. So you look at those turnouts, that's an impressive turnaround. 2 years ago, Clark Lee went 2-10 in the SEC, 2-10 total. And there were very few fans in First Bank Stadium. Now it's a complete shift. The stadium is sold out every week. The LSU game this weekend has been sold out for about a month now. So those ticket prices are extremely expensive to go buy one. And you just see a complete turnaround with the program. I think people are now suddenly excited to see Vanderbilt football play. And I think, especially with the Nashville community, Nashville's not like some other SEC towns. It's obviously, it's a big city. But I think a lot of the Nashville community is coming together, supporting Vanderbilt football and making sure that they're getting to First Bank Stadium on Saturdays, because now it's becoming the place to be on any given weekend.
And that's great that you mentioned that, because I think of, back years ago, before the Titans came to town, the Nashville football or Vanderbilt football was a thing to do on Saturday.
Yeah.
If you had nothing else going on, but now the fact that it's like, no, they have a really good team. We need to go see them.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's just a complete turnaround. I think the alumni have really come together as well. And really the students, I myself am a senior here at Vanderbilt, and every time you walk down any academic building, any pathway around campus, all the talk is about Vanderbilt football, whether they can beat another ranked opponent. I think a lot of the students now are just excited to, hopefully get the taste of beating number one Alabama like last year again this year. Obviously, it's unclear if it'll happen, but the student body is super engaged. Vanderbilt actually prides themselves. They give every student a ticket if they want it, which is pretty unique, because I know a lot of SEC schools don't necessarily get that. So the student section's been packed. People are lining up hours before the game when the gates open to get into First Bank Stadium and really cheer on their team.
Well, talking with Henry Oelhafen, again, sports editor with the Vanderbilt Hustler. That stadium as well, we were talking, it's been undergone some renovations, and it's, we've seen that at a few places right now. San Diego State has the brand new stadium. Northwestern's building a new stadium. They've made some adjustments, I believe, to Nippert and Cincinnati. $700 million renovation going on at Penn State. How are things done there in Vanderbilt? Is the stadium now complete, all the work?
Yeah, so it's all now completely done, which is really great to see. It went under construction, I guess, 2 seasons ago, and Vanderbilt's south and north end zones are completely renovated now. It's a whole part of this broader campaign called Vandy United to basically improve all the athletics facilities across Vanderbilt. So that includes the baseball field, so Hawkins Field as well, the tennis facilities, the golf facilities. So it's a massive investment for Vanderbilt athletics to improve all these things. But it's really great to see the football stadium fully done now. It's really state of the art. The north and south end zones are pretty amazing in terms of the fan experience. I think they've got a lot of premium boxes, probably like premium loge seating in those areas now. And obviously the capacity of the stadium has gone down with that renovation, but I think Vanderbilt fans are happy to be close to the action. And, and no seat is a bad seat at First Bank Stadium.
Wow, that's nice. You mentioned Clark Lee and what he has done there in his tenure there at Vanderbilt. We know the last Vanderbilt coach that raised the program to national prominence went on to Penn State. He was just fired on Sunday. Clark Lee has certainly been, heard his name whispered as possibly some of these other openings that are current or some that are maybe perceived to be open. What's the conversation there in Nashville in terms of his future with the Commodores program?
Yeah, I think you're seeing a lot of things on, X and things like that Clark Lee is potentially in the running for that Penn State job after James Franklin obviously got fired over this past weekend. In my mind, I mean, this is just my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but Clark Lee is dedicated to Vanderbilt. He grew up here in Nashville, went to Montgomery Bell Academy, literally 10 minutes down the road, went to Vanderbilt, obviously, and played at Vanderbilt. I think he's fully bought into Vanderbilt, and I would be surprised if he left, especially mid-build. It feels like Vanderbilt football is really building, and it's a critical time right now for them to sort of go beyond just being middle pack of the SEC to one of the better SEC teams. So I'd be very shocked if Clark Lee left, and I think he's fully bought into bringing Vanderbilt football to prominence in the top of college football.
And you bring up a great point in terms of somebody wanting to be at a place that's not a perceived elite power. I think in the NIL world, transfer portal world, that it's a different ball game now, that a guy like Clark Lee or a guy like Curt Cignetti, they don't have to go jump if school X calls because the way things are structured now, the money that's out there, you can make a very comfortable living and do very well and being the one who built this program, not the one who extended that program.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Vanderbilt; it's never been looked at as like an SEC powerhouse or a college football powerhouse, but I think it's on the way to that level, or at least how it seems now. Obviously, next season may change. They're going to lose Diego Pavia likely. They could regress to like a 4-8 season. You never know. I mean, it's college football with the transfer portal NIL era too. It's the Wild West out here in college athletics right now. But I mean, I think Vanderbilt, as it stands right now, appears to be trending in the right direction. So I think it's a pretty favorable job, and I think Clark Lee does intend to keep it. But as I said, that can change. I'm not in the mind of Clark Lee, and I don't know exactly what he's thinking about. I'm just there in the press conferences each week and looking at the players. So that's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah, it's a great time right now to be a part of that scene there on the Vandy campus. So LSU this week, but then the gauntlet continues. Missouri next, and then it's Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and then, of course, the end of the season rivalry as always. This time it's at Knoxville to take on Tennessee. So to get to 10 wins is going to be really, really tough, but certainly it's out there. This is a very competitive team. What does Vandy have to do, not just this week, but the rest of the season in the second half to get to that, try to compete for that 9-10 win season?
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the state of college football right now, 9 wins. Might you be in the conversation for the college football playoff? I wouldn't put that out of the question. You looked at teams like Alabama, South Carolina last year. They didn't, they were in the conversation to make the college football playoff. And especially with Vanderbilt's, strength of schedule, 9 wins isn't out of the question. But obviously getting to that 10 mark would pretty much, secure your spot in the college football playoff. But as you said, the road ahead is extremely difficult. You look at games like LSU this weekend, which is obviously a top 10 team coming into, your own house. But even games later than that, Texas has shown some cracks, I'd say, this year with Arch Manning as well. But that Texas defense is one of the best defenses in the entire country, I'd say. But you look at home games against Missouri, Auburn, Kentucky, those are the ones which I think Vanderbilt needs to secure wins at if they want to go to the college football playoff. I think those are going to be extremely key to, defending home turf, because those games are always difficult on the road. And you look at a matchup like Tennessee, going to be very, very difficult come the end of the season, but a lot can change between then and now. So it's a tough road ahead. I won't lie. It's never easy in the SEC, but it's by no means impossible. It's very doable, I'd say.
Yeah, survival of the fittest. We're about to see just how fit the Commodores are. Henry, great to talk with you for the first time. Man, love the knowledge, appreciate the conversation, and hopefully we can talk again here before the season's over.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to come back on the show, so let me know.
Got it. Thanks so much. Once again,
thanks so much, Larry.
Thank you, buddy. Henry Oelhafen joining us once again, sports editor for the Vanderbilt Hustler. And it is a big game this weekend, high noon Eastern time, 11 o'clock local time. Set your alarm. LSU coming in, number 10 in the country at number 17, Vanderbilt. And that game is on ABC. We've got more to come. It's a Sports IQ. Stay with us.
If you're a diabetic, we have great news. You can end the painful finger sticks with a new CGM. Plus, they may be covered by Medicare, Medicaid, or private insurance. If you test and inject daily, you may qualify. Call US Med now to learn more.
800-390-5160. 800-390-5160. 800-390-5160. That's 800-390-5160. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. That's 800-215-0341.
Welcome back here to the show. Great to talk a little Vandy football there. That's certainly exciting there in terms of one of the big games here this weekend. Several games we're watching really over this. Miami had the week off last week. They're back at home now against Louisville. Hurricanes 5-0, 1-0 in the ACC. That's a game we're watching. Obviously, LSU Vanderbilt we just talked about. Georgia Tech right now taking on another 3-0 ACC team in Duke, but Tech, the Yellow Jackets, number 12 in the country right now. Maybe the surprise, Indiana would be one, but I think, Indiana, we knew they were going to be, good again. Texas A&M, solid under Mike Elko, second year. But Georgia Tech and what they've done this year, 6-0, trying to extend that on the road in Durham, taking on Duke. That's a noon Eastern kick on Saturday on ESPN. Oklahoma, number 14 now in the country at South Carolina. That's a game we're watching as well. Pretty good. Texas A&M, mentioned them. The Aggies, number 4 in the country at Arkansas. Big game in the ACC. Ole Miss, number 5 in the country in Athens, take on 9th-ranked Georgia. That's a 3:30 Eastern ABC game. The Bulldogs right now are a 7-touchdown favorite, but we'll see how that continues. Again, this very much for Georgia already with one loss in conference. They can't afford a second one if they want to get to Atlanta in December. That's a game we're watching as well. Pretty good one. And then also the other SEC game, Tennessee, Alabama, the Vols, number 11 in the country at Alabama. Boy, the way they have come back from that early season opening week loss at Florida State. The Tide have been winless or been undefeated ever since, I should say. 5-1 now, 3-0 in the ACC. Tennessee had that tough loss at home a few weeks ago, back in September, overtime loss against Georgia. Again, just like the Bulldogs, they can't afford a second loss in the SEC as well. Also, USC, number 20 now in the country, back in the rankings after dropping out. They are at 13th ranked Notre Dame. The Irish also can't afford a third loss as they are going for, again, trying to get into the college football playoff. Also, Utah, BYU, big matchup in the Big 12. BYU 6-0, 3-0 in the Big 12. They got that freshman quarterback who just had an outstanding game in that come from behind win last week. That was just outstanding to watch that. Speaking of college football, right now, at least last weekend anyway, SEC dominating the ratings in this. Oklahoma, Texas, 8.7 million viewers in that one. That was the largest TV audience for the Red River rivalry since 2009. 8.7 million to outdo Alabama, Missouri had 7 million in that one. And so again, look at the time slots in this. This is just where, again, the money is just crazy right now. You get USC, Michigan. That's a marquee matchup, two brands, if you will. The Trojans getting the win 31-13, an upset over the ranked Wolverines. That drew 4.3 million viewers Saturday night, but went head-to-head with the Georgia-Auburn game, and that drew 6.7 million. So again, over on ABC, almost 2.5 million more watching that game over on ABC as opposed to the NBC game with the two Big Ten teams. Earlier in the day, the Fox game was Ohio State number 1 versus 17th ranked Illinois, 5.3 million, but that came up short to Alabama, Missouri, which was at 7 million. So again, the ratings right now are just huge. We've talked before about even, I've talked before, I enjoy watching all kinds of sports. And on Saturday afternoons, we'll start watching one game, but there's such great drama that we end up staying and watching several more. I mean, it's just, it's insane when you stop and think about it. But again, by the way, ESPN Networks, this is on Front Office Sports, off to their best start since 2002, averaging an audience of 2.4 million. ABC best start on record, $6.9 million per telecast. And so again, when you talk about the SEC, the Big Ten expanding, and the matchups it creates week in, week out, we are all watching right now. And this is why they're paying the big money for these two conferences. This is why the ratings are up, because the ad dollars are up. They can afford this. And it feels like it's only going to increase. To me, it's getting to a point, again, very much like the NFL. There's no question about that, the way they're doing things. It's exciting to watch. And we're just year 2 into this experiment. Watch this space. Moment of Awe is up next.
Hey, airline travelers, let's say you have a problem and you need to change or cancel an existing airline reservation. What do? Well, Skywatch is a free service that can help anyone with any airline reservation fix it. Whether you want to cancel it, change your dates, or add passengers, we can help fix your airline reservations so you get exactly what you need. We've updated our computer database and now have access to every airline around the globe. So now you can make one phone call regardless of who booked your airline tickets, and we'll change it, cancel it, and fix it for you. We know the insider secrets to fixing reservations that the airlines don't want you to know about. So if you need to cancel, change, or modify an existing airline reservation, call Skywatch right now. It's a free call, so let us fix it for you. 800-413-7158. 800-413-7158. 800-413-7158. That's 800-413-7158.
Time now for a moment of awe. And this is a pretty good one. You know, Ty Simpson, it pays. You ever see the movie History of the World Part 1? and the French Revolution? It's good to be the king. Well, it's good to be an Alabama quarterback. Ty Simpson has deals with EA Sports, Raising Cane's, Panini, Topps, also with Yeti. And so a big moment this week to thank his teammates. He went out and gifted them all Yeti coolers. Custom, by the way. So the players were all over social media, thanking him for the gift. By the way, he has a deal of like $2.3 million in NIL. So pretty sweet stuff there. Yeah, pretty good. But anyway, Ty Simpson, this Yeti's for you. Moment of awe. Thanks to our guest stopping by. Thanks to you as well. It's Thursday. We'll make it a good Friday. We'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.